Good afternoon, everyone. FFA sheep showmanship underway, as you can see. Plenty of dust being kicked up out there. Out here for FFA sheep showmanship. Carson Shaw, Skylar McConnell, Taylor Shaw, Hallie Meyer, Lillian Grigoski, William Delaney, Lucy Martin, and Allie Smith. Sheep obviously present their own challenges as compared to the swine that we saw earlier today. It's particularly dusty out there now, as you can see on your screen. But really, I do think that the breeze that we have been blessed with today is saving us in a lot of ways. And this is FFA sheep showmanship. After this, we'll get into market lambs. There's 3 classes there. And then in breeding sheep, we just have 2 classes. And we'll determine a champion and reserve champion in both of those groups. And then the FFA sheep show will be over. We are scheduled to get started with the 4-H sheep show immediately following this at about 5 o'clock. And that will round out our day. Of course, unless you are going to the free pit barbecue, which starts up at 5:30. I will be over there after I'm done tearing down our equipment here in the Farm Bureau covered arena. And hope to see you at the Custer County Classic bull riding event as well. Going on tonight. Should start to cool off, hopefully, by about the time they get started there in the 7 o'clock hour. I want to take a moment while these FFA showmen are continuing their work to thank a couple of our wonderful purple ribbon sponsors, including Healing Hearts and Families, where they work to educate the public by implementing a variety of outreach activities and public education programs to increase awareness of domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and bullying. Keep listening for information about how to donate to and attend their upcoming gala this fall with Healing Hearts and Families. Thank you to them for being a purple ribbon sponsor today. Thank you as well to Sargent Irrigation with 9 locations in Nebraska and Iowa. They are proud to serve your well drilling and pumping needs. You can find them online or on Facebook. They are proud of all the participants who worked so hard towards fair. So you can see the judge moving around, making sure that the kids show their sheep the way they're supposed to, get her the right angles to look at them at. They move around depending on where she's at in the ring. Just loaded up the chat, so if you want to leave a message in the chat box, you are more than welcome to do so. Let us know where you're watching from. who you're cheering on. Again, out there right now for FFA Sheep Showmanship. Carson Shaw, Skylar McConnell, Taylor Shaw, Allie Meyer, Lillian Gregoski, William Delaney, Lucy Martin, and Allie Smith. Judge going to go through and talk to a few of them before we find out her decision. Still allowing the judge to talk to each of the showmen before we hear her decision on who our champion and reserve champion showman will be here in FFA competition. Taking one last look. I would imagine this will be a hard decision.
Afternoon and I'm certainly excited to be back here for the sheep show. Did the hog show this morning, and hoping maybe we'll get a little bit cooler temps as the evening goes on. But outstanding job to this group of individuals out here for showmanship. Smaller show probably here on the FFA side, but a lot of really good showmen. And so in showmanship, I like to talk to every kid and just give them something that they did well and maybe something that I'd like to see them work on. And I will say for all 7 of you out here, a very good job on changing what I just told you in the last probably 2 minutes. I'm very impressed with that. It's hard to change your showmanship style so quickly, but you guys all took into account what I told you, and I really, really appreciate that. So very good job to all of you guys. In terms of showmanship from a sheep perspective, they're on the front ends of these animals, and so we really want to make sure that we're getting a good brace out of them. That's pretty important in terms of showing sheep. And so there's probably some individuals out here that are setting themselves apart in that regard. But past that, we need to make sure feet and legs are square. And also very important with the sheep is keeping those head and necks at the right angle. So as much of a 90-degree angle as we can get in motion and on the brace here is very important. So there's a set of them that are probably just a notch above and doing some of those things to a little bit of a higher degree. And so I think there's probably a pair of them. One of them maybe was just a notch smoother in the way that this individual presented themselves and their animal. Pretty seamless in the way that they moved around the front end of their sheep. Nothing to take away from our reserve, because I think that this individual did that very well. Maybe just had a few feet and legs off. Maybe wasn't getting quite the brace out of that sheep as our champion. But please put your hands together for these kids. I'll select you a top two.
So your champion, Allie Smith. And your reserve champion was just 2 spots behind her. I know Allie because she's been competing here in sheep for many, many years, and I recognize her, but I don't want to mess up who got reserve champion, so we'll just wait for the announcement here and hear who it is.
Congratulations to all of our exhibitors in the FFA Sheep Showmanship Contest. Your champion was Allie Smith of the Sargent FFA chapter. Following her was Carson Shaw of Anselmo Myrna FFA. Here in just a moment, we're going to move on to the market lamb portion of our show. We'll have 3 classes. Class number 1 will consist of 3 entries.
Okay, so as you heard there, first class, market lambs will be 3 entries. Lucy Martin with 2 entries and Lily Grigoski with 1 entry. There's 15 of you watching right now, and I want to show those 15 of you only what my look is looking like right now as we get into the warm part of the day. I'm seeing several people that are also sporting cooling towels, but maybe not quite in the style that I am. Oh yeah, that looks as bad as I thought it would. We'll get that off of your screen really, really fast. But it is keeping my head cool, so I won't apologize for that. But I probably do look pretty funny sitting up here videoing this. Here comes that first class of market lambs. 2 entries from Lucy Martin, 1 from Lily Grigoski. Sorry about that, folks. Was just trying to get that camera adjusted, see if I could find a better filter for that to get the right amount of brightness. The sun leaking in around the arena always makes it hard because it wants to darken up the camera lens. And depending on what angle we're using, one angle will be darker and one angle will be lighter, just depending on how much sun is getting into the lens. So we'll try to continue to keep an eye on that.
Kick off the market lamb portion of this show, and the young lady here on my right hand side is going to go ahead and be your class winner. I think this one probably just puts together the most genuine body mass and muscularity for me today. Pretty opened up top. I get my hands on that one. Plenty of upstanding rack shape and relatively fresh. Wish maybe that one sat down on a notch stouter foot and bone, but from grand scheme of things, that probably just has the most total pounds. Young lady here in the middle will go ahead and be our second place in this class today, and I think, again, one that's really high cut ability, plenty of muscle up high, maybe just not quite as wide as our class winner. Sits down a little bit narrower at the surface. Wish that one just had a little bit more turn and curvature to her upper rib shape, but still a nice one to go ahead and sit second. The young lady that's going to go ahead and be third, actually, probably from a skeletal standpoint, I appreciate the most. Would love to see that you continue to stay on feed because I think that one's built correctly. Probably just today is the lightest muscled, the narrowest one in the class. But I think, again, from a structure perspective, a really nice project for the young lady. Congratulations to you three.
All right, so we'll hear the announcement here soon. Being as there were two entries from Lucy Martin, I want to make sure that we hear that right, so I won't allude to try to guessing. So we'll hear here in just a second how that all shook out. Class 2 coming in here right now on the top right-hand part of your screen, Hallie Meyer, Allie
Results
Smith.
for that first class of market lambs. Receiving first place was Lily Grigowski, and your second purple went to Lucy Martin. Coming into the arena now is our second class of 3. 5 entries.
Okay, this is the second class, 5 entries. Hallie Meyer, Allie Smith, Lily Grigowski, Taylor Shaw, and Lucy Martin. All scheduled to come in. And they're continuing to come in and kind of catch up here in the second class of market lambs. So we get that started right now. And this is the second class of Market Lambs. Hallie Meyer, Allie Smith, Lily Grogoski, Taylor Shaw, and Lucy Martin all out there. And we'll hear from our judge right now, it looks like.
Another fun set of them here for the Market Lamb division. And the young lady here on my right is going to go ahead and win this particular class. And I think this one just speaks quality, especially from this side when she props him up. Love that one in terms of his pattern and proportion. Really cool in terms of his underline. Maybe we'd want to ease that one down ever so slightly in his spine. But just from a genuine muscle perspective, that one wins. I get my hands on him, and he's really fresh. It's a tight-heighted weather that's just got a lot of shape, a lot of true turn of muscle. Nice one to go ahead and start. The young lady that's going to be second was one that was probably a little bit deceiving until I did get my hands on him. Maybe from the side, starts to read with a little bit of extra maturity there in his breastplate, but still is really pretty fresh up high. A lot of shape there in his rack and pretty square in his loin. Skeletally, maybe we'd want to rearrange that one and just lengthen out his hips so that he hinged a little bit looser and more comfortable in motion, but one that still I think is a safe second just from a muscle perspective. Young ladies, that's going to go ahead and be third. I think it actually probably mirrors my class winner a little bit more, just in the way that sheep's put together. Just from a muscle perspective, though, that one falls a little bit short, gets a little bit narrower constructed, a little bit flatter in his forerib shape, but do appreciate that one, and just in terms of being pretty fresh still, and still built right. So the two that are going to go ahead and round out this class, a little bit similar in their type and kind. Probably both of them pushing a little bit more maturity than I'd like to see at this stage in the game. But the weather that's going to go be fourth, I think, was the fresher of the two. Just a little bit more expressive in terms of shape. Maybe not as bold and opened up as the one in fifth, but still from a cutability standpoint, probably goes ahead and gets fourth today. The young lady that's going to be fifth in this particular class probably has one of the bolder bodied, just more opened up sheep in the class, but probably pushing the most maturity. This gets a little too soft on the handle, but one that I still think has plenty of pounds. Young lady's doing an awesome job getting that one shown. Congratulations to these guys.
Results from our second class of Market Lambs. Receiving first purple was Allie Smith, and second purple was Hallie Meyer. Coming into the arena now is our third and final class of Market Lambs. 2 entries. Following this, we will have our drive.
This is the third class. Lily Grogoski and William Delaney out there. Lily's Market Lamb weighing 137 pounds. William's the heaviest we've seen here today of these three classes, 152 pounds.
go ahead and win. And I think in terms of just genuine muscle and power, that one wins. Really opened up kind of sheep, round rib, bold bodied, and still fresh enough when I get my hands on him. I really appreciate that one in terms of his levelness of lines as well from a structure perspective, but just in terms of true body mass and power, that one wins. Young lady that's going to be second, I love that one for being a tall-bladed, long-necked kind of sheep. Still relatively level and long spine. I think where that one probably falls short in this particular class, just not quite as opened up, not as round-ribbed, maybe wants to funnel to the base of his leg a little bit. So we'd like to pull that one apart, but really good job to both you guys in terms of getting these things shown. Congratulations.
Okay, so now will be the drive of first place from each of those groups. Lily Grogoski, Allie Smith, and William Delaney all out there. Determining our champion and reserve champion, Market Lamb, here for the FFA Sheep Show.
Winning the class was William Delaney, and the reserve was Lily Gagowski. In the arena now, we're sorting through our class winners for our overall Market Lamb.
Well, if you would, ringside, please congratulate these guys. A small show, but a really good set of kids and a really good set of sheep, and I think they're all doing a very good job out here. Not the coolest day probably that we've had this summer, and livestock get hot, kids get hot, so hats off to you guys. When we come down to picking a champion Market Lamb, I think, my priorities lie in muscle first, because I think obviously we need to keep into perspective. They're show sheep, but they're ultimately going to be sheep in the cooler at the end of the day. So sorting towards muscle, and then also keeping in mind that with these sheep, we don't want them fat. We don't want them fat like a steer. We want them to be lean, fresh, have a lot of muscle shape. And so that's where it's important to get your hands on them and handle them and really understand what's really there. So I think from there, if they check those boxes, then I can sort to some structure, priorities, and some extra feature that these show lambs present, and that makes it fun. So there's one out here that certainly checks the box in terms of muscle, and then from the side really patterns up nicely in terms of the way that he's put together, and trots around the ring really well. So the young lady out of the second class will be our champion.
That's Allie Smith. I believe they haven't announced that they're waiting for, and I don't see anyone really moving quick. Oh, yep, they had to run back to the barn to get second place from that class, which is Hallie Meyer. So, yep, here she comes. She's running in as fast as she can. And that lamb is probably not very excited to be being pulled back into the ring. But she's coming in here to compete for second place and reserve champion.
In terms of selecting a reserve, I think there's a couple of them out here that probably just have more muscle maybe than the third one, and so those are probably the two that I'm sorting between. I think between the two, there's one that's just a little bit fresher, a little bit firmer to the touch, and still presents a nice picture from the side. Young lady out of the other second class will be your reserve.
Okay, so the effort to run back to the barn and grab her lamb was worth it. Hallie Meyer is the reserve champion.
Results from our Market Lamb show. Congratulations to Allie Smith from Sergeant FFA on being your overall champion. And then your reserve was exhibited by Hallie Meyer. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to move into our Breeding Ewe show. We'll have two classes, each with 2 entries.
As he said, 2 classes with 2 entries each. First class will be ewes born after January 1st, 2026. And then ewes born before January 1st, 2026 after that. This first class will have Hallie Meyer and Carson Shaw in it. And they're coming in now. While we have a moment, let's thank a couple more of our Purple Ribbon sponsors for Custer County Fair coverage on video and radio here for 2026. With 9 locations in Nebraska and Iowa, Sargent Irrigation is proud to serve your well drilling and pumping needs. You can find them online or on Facebook. They are proud of all the participants who worked so hard toward fair. And thank you as well to Central Nebraska Diesel. Ranke has built durable and reliable, high-strength steel, superior engineering, and an industry-leading 10-year warranty on gearboxes. Contact Colton and find out for yourself at Central Nebraska Diesel. And thank you to Custer Public Power District, keeping your light shining bright. Nebraska is still the only state in the U.S. that is served 100% by public power. Locally owned and governed by you, Custer Public Power District. Again, this is Hallie Meyer and Carson Shaw out there right now, competing in the first of two breeding sheep classes. We'll then have the top from each class compete against each other to determine who is the champion and who is the reserve champion, and that will bring us to the end of the FFA Sheep Show. And will roll us right into the 4-H Sheep Show, which is scheduled to start at 5 o'clock if we're able to run on time. We're about 16 minutes away from that time. I think we're about right on schedule.
A fun pair of them here in the breeding division. I think two that are pretty different in their type and kind, and so it takes a little bit of sorting and maybe just some personal preference. But the young lady to my right is going to go ahead and be our class winner, and I think that ewe is just really powerful, has a lot of brood ewe character, a lot of genuine turn to her upper and lower rib, and from there back still presents a really nice picture from the side when the young lady gets her propped up, like the underline on that one, sits down on a plenty stout foot and bone. The young lady that's going to be second, I think, has got one that's kind of unique, probably the greener of the two in this particular class, so certainly would like to see this one continue to grow. Extremely elegant in her head and neck posture. I love how feminine she is. Maybe just from there back gets a little bit more disappointing in terms of her rib shape and just total body volume, but I do appreciate that one in motion. I think she's got a lot of cool skeletal pieces, so congratulations to both of you, and nice set.
So first in that class was Carson Shaw. Second was Hallie Meyer. That'll bring forward Allie Smith and William Delaney in this second of two classes. Ewes born before January 1st, 2026. So a little bit older. Both of these ewes were born in December of 2025.
Another good set of them here in the U show, and the young lady's going to go ahead and win this division or this class. And I think that sheep is just really cool in the way that she sets up from this side. When she gets her propped up, but she really runs uphill and is extremely athletic in the way that she's put together. That's a lot of genuine outward body turn, which I love, and also just from a structure and skeletal perspective is really neat in terms of the way that she gets around the ring. If I were to change that one, wish maybe she was just a notch bolder. I'd like to drop her down in her flank ever so slightly to make her exactly how I like to see them, but a really cool one to go ahead and win. Nothing to take away from the young man's ewe that's going to be second because I don't think that there's anything particularly wrong with that sheep. She's plenty functional, travels the ring really well, a bold-bodied kind of ewe. Just maybe in terms of being a little bit plainer, wants to drop down in her chest floor and funnels to her base ever so slightly, but a really good functional one for the young man. Certainly should be a good project. Congratulations to you guys.
Okay, so now we will have Allie Smith and Carson Shaw out there, and we'll determine a champion and a reserve champion. Whichever of them is champion, they'll pull in the second from their class to compete for reserve champion. And as we saw earlier in this FFA sheep show, you can have the same sheep out of a class
From that last class
be
of breeding ewes, receiving
reserve champion as
first
well.
purple was Allie Smith, and second purple, William Delaney. In the arena now are our class winners. We're going to be selecting our champion breeding ewe.
to these two young ladies. Certainly put in the work to be out here and get to this point. Two really nice ewe-lambs for these girls, and I would hope that they would either go back into a breeding program for themselves or for somebody else. Certainly both have a lot of good. Very different probably in their type and kind, and so as I discussed in class, the young lady out of that second class probably just a little bit more athletic in the way that that sheep's put together. Really like that one from this side. Maybe not the most opened up one. Maybe we'd like to give her a little bit more just genuine bold rib shape. But I really appreciate that one in motion and just her angles and her lines read correct. On the other end of the spectrum, the young lady out of our first class has a really powerful brood ewe. That one is really opened up, has a lot of center body and has a cool underline, a little bit deeper flanked probably than the other sheep in this particular division, but maybe not quite as athletic and flexible in motion. And so that's where it kind of comes down to some priorities and thinking about functionality, which is structure and body combined, and also just some quality pieces that are harder to make. And I tend to gravitate probably towards those harder to make pieces. So young lady out of our second class will be your grand, young lady out of the first class will be your reserve.
So that was Allie Smith as the champion and Carson Shaw as the reserve champion, showing their breeding sheep.
Congratulations to all of our exhibitors in the FFA Sheep Show today. Out of that final division drive, your champion breeding ewe is exhibited by Allie Smith of Sergeant FFA. And your reserve champion by Carson Shaw of Anselmo Myrna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the FFA Sheep Show today. We appreciate you being here and supporting these kids. Coming up soon, make sure to stick around for the 4-H Sheep Show. Have a good one.
Okay, so as you heard, and as you can see now, they're starting to gather the sheep for the 4-H Sheep Show. Let's quickly recap what happened there in the FFA Sheep Show, and then we'll step away for a moment if we need to before they get started with 4-H sheep. Showmanship, champion showman Allie Smith of Sergeant, reserve champion Carson Shaw. Carson representing Anselmo Myrna FFA. In Market Lambs, champion Market Lamb belonged to Allie Smith. Hallie Meyer had the reserve champion Market Lamb. And then just going final there moments ago, Allie Smith with the champion breeding sheep, Carson Shaw with the reserve champion breeding sheep. That puts a bow on the FFA Sheep Show. 4-H Sheep Show is next. It'll be right here on Sandhills Express, YouTube, and Facebook in a few moments. Here we go. It's 4-H Sheep Show time.
We are going to go ahead and get started with our 4-H Lamb Show today. Our first class is our senior showmanship. In the ring we have Lily Grigowski, Hallie Meyer, Taylor Shaw, and Allie Smith.
There you go. That's senior sheep showmanship on your screen right now.
We want to thank Star Seed LLC for sponsoring the banner for our senior showman today.
And the judge has taken time talking to each of the senior showmen, and then we'll hear from the judge on what she has to say. It's like it's been in the past. She doesn't say too much. She doesn't want to give an advantage to the juniors and pre-juniors going forward. But every judge has their own style. We'll see what she has to say, and then obviously we'll get our champions in, reserve champions in junior and pre-junior, and then do overall, where they all compete against each other.
Well, hats off to these 4 young ladies. I think it's really fun. I saw all these girls in the FFA side, and they've all done such an awesome job taking the critiques I gave them in that division and carrying them over. And so I told them all I get to be a little bit more nitpicky even now because we've had 2 times in the ring together, and all 4 of them are doing a really outstanding job. Again, when it comes to showmanship, I think I've said this before in a couple other divisions, but I really want a quiet showman. I want a calm showman, one that can kind of just blend away from the sheep and that I don't notice too much. Especially in the seniors here, we need to cover the basics of getting those sheep braced, keeping our feet square, and then be able to make smooth transitions around the front end of that sheep, know where I'm at, know where you need to be in relation to me, and just present that animal to the highest level at all times. So there's one out here that's doing that to a really high level. I think this individual probably had maybe a less cooperative sheep in this particular class, but she handled it really well, remained calm, cool, and collected, and still got that sheep presented to a really high level. The young lady that's going to be second in this particular class, I think for me, probably just did the next best job in terms of getting that sheep braced. That's really important to me to get a hard brace on these lambs. Maybe just wasn't quite as consistent in terms of feet and leg placement, but did a really nice job still being smooth in the transitions around the front end of her sheep. So congratulations to all 4 of you. I'll select your top 2.
Okay, so Allie Smith will be your champion. And if they go based on order, I think it would be Taylor Shaw, but we'll make sure when we hear the announcement.
Champion senior showman was Allie Smith. Your reserve champion senior showman is Taylor Shaw. Also receiving purples in class was Hallie Meyer and Lily Grigowski.
Okay, so that brings us to junior sheep showmanship. William and Weston Delaney representing Middle Loop 4-H Club. Lucy Martin from Burr Oak. Tell McConnell from Four Corners, and Carson Shaw from Great Connections, all in junior sheep showmanship. Coming in on the top right-hand part of your screen right now. Again, this is junior sheep showmanship, 11 to 13 years of age by January 1st. Competing right now. All working on their ability to show their sheep to the best of their abilities in order to help show the features of the sheep as best as possible. Obviously, the sheep itself has to have good makeup and show well, but half of that battle is the showman. Again, this is junior sheep showmanship, 11 to 13 years of age by January 1st. William and Weston Delaney, Lucy Martin, Tel McConnell, and Carson Shaw all out there. We only have one group in each of our showmanship groups, so we'll determine a champion and a reserve champion right away here. And we'll hear from the judge.
Outstanding job by the intermediates out here. I don't know what it is about you guys, but every show I judge, the intermediates give me the most challenge. I think all of you guys come out here with such a fire to win, and it makes it really fun to evaluate, but it makes it tough. So hats off to you guys. All 5 of you are working your butts off, and I probably spent more time in here with you guys than any class that I've judged today. So sorry for working a little bit harder, but I think you guys are doing a really outstanding job. Again, as we go down in age groups, my priorities probably start to adjust in terms of some of the things that I expect out of you guys, but I think all 5 of you could certainly run with the best of them. So really good job. There's 2 of them out here that probably have leveled up a notch above just in terms of being more consistent and getting the basics covered and then some. And I discussed with each you guys individually things that you're doing that I really appreciate and things that maybe you could change. And so I appreciate that you guys have been working to make those adjustments throughout the duration of class. There's 2 of them out here. Again, like I said, it's very, very close. Both of them probably have made a few mistakes, but also have changed and adjusted to do things really well. So if you'd put your hands together for these guys, I'll take one more look and select a grand and a reserve.
All right, tough decision for the judge, as you heard there. We'll see what she decides here. William and Weston Delaney, Lucy Martin, Tel McConnell, and Carson Shaw all out there. Tel McConnell, the champion. Reserve champion Carson Shaw. Coming in next will be pre-junior sheep showmanship. Whitley Delaney, Clancy Martin, and Felicity Martin, and Sage Smith.
Your champion junior showman is Tel McConnell. Your reserve champion junior showman is Carson Shaw. Also receiving purples in class is William Delaney, Weston Delaney, Lucy Martin. Now entering the ring is our pre-junior sheep showmanship, ages 8 to 10 years old. We have Whitley Delaney, Clancy Martin, Felicity Martin, and Sage Smith. Our banner for our champion pre-junior sheep showman is sponsored by Curtis and Marla Stahlbommer.
Again, this is Whitley Delaney, Clancy Martin, Felicity Martin, and Sage Smith, all competing in pre-junior sheep showmanship. These kids are 8 to 10 years of age by January 1st of this year. We'll determine a champion and reserve here, and then we will go to the overall sheep showmanship side of things, where the juniors that were crowned and the seniors that were crowned will come out and compete against the best pre-junior showmen to determine an overall grand champion and champion. That'll be coming up after this. Part of the judging is the judge asking some questions about the sheep and also giving some pointers about showing sheep that they can use when they move forward to junior and senior showmanship in the years ahead.
Well, if you guys would, please give a big hand to these 4 juniors. Really fun set to evaluate, and I think the best part is the fact that all 4 of these kiddos are having fun. And that is so important at this age, to make sure that we're still enjoying it and starting to get some of the fundamentals down. And I think all 4 of these kiddos are doing a very good job of covering the basics. And so I talked to each one of them about the things that they excelled at and the things that they could continue to work on. But I think all 4 of them probably checked one of my boxes, primarily probably the best in the class. And so it's just evaluating which one put them all together to the highest level. And I think that there's a couple of them out here that just completed the basics the best for me in terms of setting feet and legs, and also getting around the ring really efficiently. And so there's one individual that's probably just been the most consistent in terms of keeping his lamb square and calm and collected there on the stop, and still did a really nice job in moving him around the ring. And then our reserve is going to be one that maybe wasn't quite as consistent in terms of feet and legs, but did an outstanding job walking that sheep around and getting him stopped and propped up and working really hard. So hats off to all 4 of you guys. Very, very good job. I'll select your top 2.
So Sage Smith is your reserve champion. And your champion way up there at the top of your screen is Clancy Martin. So Clancy will come back here momentarily to compete in the overall showmanship competition, which is right around the corner. Bring the juniors and top senior showmen back in to compete.
All right, your champion pre-junior sheep showman was Clancy Martin. Your reserve was Sage Smith. Also receiving purples in class was Whitley Delaney and Felicity Martin. Now entering our ring is our champion and reserve for each of the showmanship classes. So from our senior class, we have Allie Smith and Taylor Shaw. From our junior class, we have Tel McConnell and Carson Shaw. From our pre-junior class, we have Clancy Martin and Sage Smith. This is our first call for Ram Lambs.
While we have a quick moment, we want to thank more of our Purple Ribbon sponsors bringing you radio and video coverage from the Custer County Fair this year. Lashley Land and Recreational Brokers. If you're considering selling your land, now is the time. Contact April Good or John Farley with Lashley Land. Check out lashleyland.com. Thank you as well to Pioneer Seed, Monty Hermsmeyer and Sargent, Mike and Justin Bailey and Ansley, and Larry Leapart and Lacey Hopp of Anselmo, your Pioneer Seed reps in the area. Contact Monty, Mike, and Justin, or Larry and Lacey to see what Pioneer can do for your fields. Thank you as well to Full Circle Irrigation. Contact Todd Wardeen today at their office in Litchfield or Broken Bow for all your irrigation parts, technology, and service needs. They are your local Valley dealer. And thank you as well to Lines Appliance, where they offer very competitive pricing on all appliances and are ready to match prices if you find a better deal. Don't waste your time or gas driving out of town. You can support local and support those who support our community by shopping at Lines Appliance in Broken Bow. Thank you to Lines Appliance and the other sponsors I mentioned, as well as the ones that we're mentioning throughout the day, for supporting Custer County Fair 2026. Many of these sponsors, which are not Purple Ribbon sponsors, but are contributing to our coverage this year, are scrolling on the top right-hand part of your screen. Thank you to each and every one of them for contributing to our coverage this year, which is a lot of interviews with 4-H and FFA kids on KC and I Pure Country, as well as here on the Sandhills Express YouTube and Facebook pages. Free Pit Barbecue has officially started, by the way, folks. If you are wanting some free food tonight, that started up at 5:30. We had quite the break in between swine and sheep, so that some kids with horses could get over here to show their sheep. So I'm not going to be over there right away handing out dilly bars like I had planned, but Jack Simpson's going to cover for me for a while, and hopefully I can get over there to hand out a few before the Custer County Classic bull riding starts up this evening.
out here for the overall, and I think it's kind of cool to get all the age divisions and together in one ring, because I don't think that your age should necessarily dictate your skill set, and certainly as shown true today. I think all 6 of you guys are doing an outstanding job, and I've said this earlier in the pig show, but I think showmanship is so important to being successful, regardless if you're in a showmanship class or your just division, market, or breeding class in the regular show, because it's very important to have somebody who knows how to exhibit that animal to its highest degree, to be able to make that animal look its best. And so it takes a good showman to do that, and I think it takes a lot of practice and a lot of understanding of what you need to do as an exhibitor to show every animal just a little bit differently in order to make it look its best. Because I don't think you can go out and show 5 sheep the same way. You probably are going to have to adjust what you're doing a little bit to be able to show the flaws out of your animal, and I think that's what makes good showmen great, is when they can understand how to do that. And so I think that there's a set of them out here that are doing that to a pretty high level. Again, for me, showmanship is something where I don't want to be able to be distracted by the showman on the front end of that sheep. I want you guys to just blend all into one and be really unnoticeable, really calm, and still getting everything that you can out of that animal. There's 2 of them out here that I think probably just do that to a notch higher degree than the rest. Probably working through maybe some behavior issues out here with these sheep. They're hot, they're tired, and so trying to read through some of that. But I think both of them have handled it very well and been pretty consistent. Probably, honestly, to be quite transparent with you guys, where these 2 probably won it for me was in motion. I like to evaluate sheep in motion, and I think there's 2 of them out here that just presented those lambs so well in motion, and still were able to prop them up really nicely from the side. So congratulations to both of you guys. I'll select your top 2, or I guess top 1 overall showman, top 2. Okay, so put your hands together for these guys. Congratulations to all 6 of you.
All right, it's go time, and your overall is Allie Smith, and your reserve is Tell McConnell. Congratulations to those 2. As that puts a bow on sheep showmanship for 4-H for 2026. We'll now move into the market side of things. First place we will go is Ram Lambs.
Your champion overall sheep showman goes to Allie Smith. Your reserve champion overall sheep showman is Tell McConnell. We will now move into our breeding rams class. And we have 2 entries today. We have one from Wade Burkhorst and one from Hallie Meyer. Sorry.
Again, this is Ram Lambs. Wade Burkhorst and Hallie Meyer are both out there. with their Ram Lambs. We will just have to determine which of them is a champion and which is a reserve champion right now. And then we'll put a wrap up on that.
Part of the breeding division. Not probably every county fair has that opportunity. So hats off to you two for bringing a couple really nice representations out here. The young man's going to go ahead and win this particular division. I think maybe a few age differences we're working through here, but I do think that this Ram's probably just the most masculine, powerfully constructed one in the class. I really appreciate his turn of body, really bold ribbed and opened up, and sets down plenty square and stout at the surface. So maybe we'd want to rearrange him ever so slightly skeletally and level out his spine, and maybe dial him back a little bit in the angle to his blade. But I do think when the young man gets him stopped and propped there, really nice proportions from the side. Young lady's probably a little bit more green Ram here. Is going to go ahead and be second. Certainly the younger one of the class, but I do think that one has a lot of potential and a lot of good. From a just refinement standpoint, I love how that one head and neck ties into his blade. It's a shorter bladed one that's a little bit more tucked up in his chest floor. Obviously given up some size and some mass today just due to some age and maturity things, but certainly would like to see that one continue to grow and be productive. Congratulations to both of you. Really nice set.
Your champion Ram Lamb goes to Wade Burkhorst. Your reserve champion Ram Lamb is Hallie Myers. Now entering the ring, we have our ewe lambs born September 1st, 2025 and after. We have William Delaney, Weston Delaney, Whitley Delaney, Skylar McConnell, Tel McConnell, Hallie Meyer, and Allie Smith. The banner for the champion breeding ewe is donated by the Kennedy family in memory of Don Kennedy.
So we've got a few of the sheep pulled to the side already. Taking a look at 3 final ones here on your screen. Allie Smith, Skylar McConnell, and Tell McConnell holding those sheep. Again, this is ewe lambs born September 1st, 2025 and after. Largest group of animals we have seen in the show ring today between swine and sheep. Just one group, so we're determining a champion and a reserve champion right away here on these ewe lambs. We'll then move into lightweight market lambs where we've got 2 classes. Allie Smith, champion. And I believe that was Tell McConnell, reserve. If I saw the finger pointing correctly.
Well, I apologize for probably taking a little bit longer on the top end of this class, but it was pretty entertaining for me to make some evaluations and decide which direction I was going to go, because there's two at the top end of this class that probably couldn't be more different, and so it takes some consideration of priorities and what I like best, and ultimately decided to land with the Blue U to be your champion female breeding ewe in this particular division. And truly, guys, I think what it comes down to is that's the hardest sheep to make. It's really hard to make one that elegant and tall fronted, and tie in so well directly behind her blade, be so level out of her hip, and so athletic in the way that she's put together. Her body shape is really genuine. Is she the most mature ewe in the class, the broodiest, the most opened up? No, she's not, and that's where it's close with the one in second. But I love when sheep are able to prop up like that, give you a really, really pretty look from the side, and still have enough outward turn to where I think they could be a plenty functional breeding piece. So really nice female to go ahead and start. Very close pair with the one in second. That will be your reserve, because this one is the broodier of the two. This one's bolder ribbed, deeper flanked, just more powerfully constructed sheep. Probably were land second for me today, just not quite as unique in the front 1/3, not quite as tucked up in her chest floor and elevated. And wish she was a little bit looser and less restricted out of her hip and hind leg, but love that one in terms of just having so much boldness of rib. Really like the underline on that one. Very close pair, nice set of them. Congratulations to both of you on top. Young man that's going to go ahead and be third in this class, I think, has one that's really functional, very broody, a really wide constructed type of sheep, plenty of muscle up high, and a lot of just really good parts and pieces to that ewe. Probably just nothing super extra special about her comparative to the ones up top. Again, don't have a huge hole to pick in that one. She just gets a little bit plainer in terms of her front 1/3, a notch deeper in her breastplate, not quite as extreme in the way her skeleton is put together, but one that's really functional. Certainly should be a good breeding piece for the young man down the road. The young lady is going to go ahead and be fourth in this class, and I think this is one that, again, probably is lacking some of the maturity maybe that compared to the ones ahead. One that I like from this side, especially when she can get her propped up like that, runs uphill really nicely, has a pretty underline, just probably gives up some mass and power comparatively to the three ahead. Wish that one was a little bit smoother in the way that she blended her blade into her rack and into her hip, but one that I certainly think should progress and be a nice breeding piece for the young lady. Doing an excellent job getting that one shown. Young man here with the kind of probably South Down influence sheep, I think, is one that's really broody. I love that one in terms of just being bold and opened up, and has plenty of feature and stout foot and bone. Structurally, maybe we'd want to pick that one up in terms of her neck set, get her a little bit more correct in her hip and hind leg posture, but I think that one, again, just in terms of true body and functionality, really nice job young man's doing showing that one. And the two that are going to go ahead and round out this class, I think, probably have similar issues in terms of just some structural things we'd like to change. Young man here directly in front of me, though, has the ewe that's probably bolder ribbed, more opened up, a little bit more brood ewe character in that one. Just wish we could probably rearrange her in terms of her front 1/3, make her a little bit taller fronted, get that neck to tie a little bit higher out of the top side of her skeleton. And then the young man that's going to go ahead and round out this class, again, one that probably is a little bit taller fronted, just needs a little bit more rib shape, needs to be a little bit wider at the surface, but really outstanding, all of you guys. Congratulations.
All right, so again, Allie Smith with the champion ewe lamb, reserve champion ewe lamb belonged to Tell McConnell. That moves us into the first class of lightweight market lambs, 84 to 99 pounds. Hallie Meyer with 2 entries, Clancy Martin with 2 entries, Hallie Meyer with 3 entries, Clancy with 2, Sage Smith with an entry, and Felicity Martin with an entry. This class representing Great Connections and Burr Oak 4-H clubs. But here we go.
was informed that all three of these sheep out here are one exhibitors, all three of them. So congratulations to her for being so dedicated and bringing a lot of sheep to the county fair that certainly have some quality. So fortunately, she chose the correct one to show to lead off the class for us today. And I think, in these lighter weights, truly just looking for what sheep has the most muscle expression. Probably not going to get quite to that finished market weight for these market lamb. Sorry about that. But I think this one certainly has the most just genuine turn to her upper rib and lower rib, and past that profiles really nicely from the side. Certainly be a fun one to continue feeding on. Similarities between these top three probably, but really probably came down to just which one had the most rib shape, and so I think the one in second probably does that the next best. Not quite as bold and not quite as bold and robust in terms of his rib shape probably as our class winner, but still one that is really fresh and expressive when I get my hands on him. And then similarly with the one in third, the ewe lamb that's going to round out our purple ribbon class, I think is one that I probably prefer in terms of levelness of lines. Really appreciate that ewe for being tall fronted. As I was saying, just appreciate that one in terms of levelness of lines. Probably gives up some just in terms of genuine turn of muscle expression, but still appreciate that one from this side. Young ladies, you here is going to go ahead and be fourth in this particular class, and I think that's one that from the side I really like. She does an outstanding job getting that one squared up and propped up. Maybe just off either end, she gets a little bit narrower comparatively to the three ahead of her, but still appreciate that one for having plenty depth of flank, like that one in motion. Just needs a little bit more genuine muscularity. Pretty similar story with the bottom three in this class. I think all three of them are really sound structured sheep that I appreciate just in terms of being tall fronted, long necked, really flexible in motion. Just probably need to have a little bit more feed poured to them in the next few weeks to continue to pack on those pounds. But outstanding job to all three of you guys. Very good class. Please give them all a big hand.
Receiving purples in Class 1 lightweight market lambs was Hallie Meyer, and Hallie Meyer. Receiving blues in Class 1 was Clancy Martin, Sage Smith, and Felicity Martin. Now entering the ring is Class 2 lightweight market lambs, weighing 100 to 116 pounds.
Showing lambs in this group: Whitley Delaney, Felicity Martin, Clancy Martin, Lucy Martin, Sage Smith, and Taylor Shaw. This is our second class of two lightweight market lambs. These are 100 to 116 pounds.
Outstanding job by these guys. Deeper class takes me a little bit longer to get through, so good job sticking with it. I think the weather that's going to go ahead and start is one that just probably presents the highest degree of a combination of muscularity and then still some skeletal quality, and presents a really nice profile from the side. I think you get your hands on that one. He's plenty fresh. Maybe I'd wish he had a little bit more just genuine turn of muscle there in his forerib and back into maybe a square loin edge, but I think it's acceptable enough in combination with the fact that he probably has the best skeleton and the most extra feature that we like to see in these show projects. So good job to you. The one that comes in second, I really like just from a muscle perspective. I think that one is really square and probably a notch bolder than our class winner in terms of upper and lower rib shape. It's probably just from a skeleton standpoint, I get a little bit more concerned on that one. Probably the lower fronted sheep that's maybe a little bit off in the coordination of his hip and hind leg, but I think just muscularity and freshness, that one does a really nice job. Young lady that's going to go ahead and come third is probably going to get herself beat today just because that sheep's not quite as fresh. I wish that one was dialed back a little bit in her degree of finish, had a little bit less cover over her body wall there, but the one that's plenty bold and round in the turn to her rib just doesn't have quite the muscle expression that the top two do. So, and the young lady that's showing the weather here in fourth is nailing it. She's getting it out of the park here today, getting all these sheep shown. doing an excellent job. And I think she's got a weather here that I love just for being so tall bladed and extended, really long and level spine kind of sheep. Just gets a little bit narrow off either end and a little bit flatter in the turn to his rib, but a really nice one for the young lady. She's doing an awesome job. The three kiddos here on the rail are going to go ahead and receive blues and round out this particular class. The young man here, I think, has one that, again, is bold-bodied, just pushing a little bit more cover and finish than we probably would like to see today. Wish he had a little bit more genuine turn and expression when I get my hands on him. But I appreciate that one from the side. I think he still has some cool pieces in terms of his underline and just some skeletal parts and pieces that I like about that one. The two kiddos here that are going to round out the class, though, again, excellent projects that these guys are doing such an awesome job getting out here and getting shown. Probably just get beat in terms of not having quite as much mass and muscle as the ones ahead of them, but really good job to all of you guys. Doing a very excellent job. Congratulations.
So out of that class, first went to Taylor Shaw, second went to Lucy Martin, and third went to Felicity Martin. So in those two classes of lightweight market lambs, Hallie Meyer was top and Taylor Shaw was top in the second class. They'll compete against each other for first place lightweight market lamb. They will also bring in the second place lightweight market lamb from each of those groups to compete for first and second place. So those are the four that we saw enter here moments ago.
Now in the ring is our top two purples from both classes of lightweight market lambs.
Bringing the two classes together to pick an overall lightweight first and second to come back for our final drive. I think it comes down to, again, just starting with muscle, prioritizing some muscularity, some freshness, some shape, and then going to some extras in terms of skeleton, structure, and how they all blend together. I think there's two of them out here that probably suit my liking in that regard to the highest level out here compared to some others. But there's probably one that just blends together a notch smoother, maybe has a little bit more maturity on him, and so that probably helps him out ever so slightly. But the young lady out here of our second class will be your grand. Young lady out of the first class will be reserve.
So that was Taylor Shaw, first place. Second place to Hallie Meyer. And that wraps up lightweight market lambs. in this class of medium weight market lambs, 121 to 129 pounds. Lucy Martin with 2 entries, Carson Shaw with an entry, Lillian Gugroski, Skylar McConnell, Wade Burkhorst, and Skylar McConnell with another entry. That would be the 7 that are out there. Our first of 2 classes of medium weight market lambs. I want to take this moment to thank another of our Purple Ribbon sponsors, Big Jim's Bar of Oconto, known for their flavorful, made-to-order pizzas and friendly small-town atmosphere. Open at 5 Monday through Friday, and Saturdays and Sundays open at 3. Dine in or call ahead for takeout. Big Jim's Bar in Oconto. You'll be glad you went and got some pizza at Big Jim's. It is delicious, trust me. Thank you as well to Farm Bureau Financial Services. Local agents are Travis Hansen, Jack Lindstrom, and Lloyd Johnson. Proud to serve the community to help protect what matters most, your family, home, farm, business, and your future. Stop by 616 South C Street in Broken Bow or call 308-872-6433. And thank you as well to Agribest Feeds of Callaway. They offer loose minerals and room and edge tubs for your cattle. They also have posts, red brand, barbed wire, and any other fence supplies you need. They have ATV drive-over gates or automatic wireless hydraulic gates. Those are available as well at Agribest Feeds of Callaway.
For the Custer County 4-Hers, parents, and volunteer leaders, we would like to thank the Custer County Ag Society for the Champion and Reserve Champion Rosette ribbons, the Best of Show and Reserve Best of Show Rosette ribbons, and all other event ribbons and premium money. Their continued support is greatly appreciated.
Again, this is our first of 2 medium weight market lamb classes, 121 to 129 pounds. We'll then have a second class of medium weight, but the 4th class of market lambs. Then we'll go to heavyweight market lambs, and then top from all 5 of those classes will compete to determine an overall grand champion and overall reserve champion in market lambs.
Top trio here. I think there's 3 sheep out here that I have things that I like about all 3 of them. The young lady with the blue weather is going to ultimately win this particular class, and I think that's due to the fact that that's the most creased up, fresh handling sheep in the class. I think that one's got plenty of rack shape, a lot of turn to his lower rib, really square in his loin edges, and when she can prop him up like that from this side, I really like him in terms of his length and extension. Probably want to rearrange his hip and hind leg a little bit, wants to get a little bit uncoordinated in motion, but just from a true muscularity perspective, that one wins. Young man with the South Down influence, I'm assuming sheep here in second, is one that I think is a little bit deceiving until you get your hands on him, because I love that one skeletally. However, he does appear to be pushing a little bit more maturity, probably, especially in his front 1/3, getting a little bit pushed out in his breastplate. But what's surprising is when you get your hands on that sheep, he's actually pretty fresh. And so that's what's the cool thing about that one, is I think for what is evaluated visually, it's a little bit different when you get your hands on him. Now, with that being said, he is probably pushing a little bit more maturity than our class winner, and that's why he does end up second. But that's a really nice weather for that young man to go ahead and land second, just in terms of some extra cool parts and pieces, especially when he can prop up like that from the side. Young man in third is one that I struggled with a little bit, because structurally I like that one the best. I think that one's angles read correct. Love that one in motion. Really floats around the ring nicely. Head and neck carriage is correct. It's just from a muscle perspective, that one falls a little bit short, especially off either end. Gets a little bit narrower constructed. Kind of starts to funnel to the base of his forerib, funnel to the surface, and wish we just had a little bit more fresh handle and touch up there in terms of his rack. But really like that one from the side. Young ladies, Weather's going to go ahead and come fourth. I think is one that I love in terms of length and extension. That's a really tall bladed, long neck kind of Weather, long and level spine. Just gets outpowered probably by the 3 ahead. Wish we could open that one up a little bit more, give him some more genuine turn of rib, genuine turn of muscle and outward body shape. But I appreciate that one for being just a practical, bold-bodied kind of sheep. The 3 that are going to go ahead and round out the class today, I think, are ones that, again, very practical in their type and kind, pounds heavy kind of Weathers and ewes. Maybe just don't have the extra turn, the extra shape and cutability as the 4 ahead of them. But really nice job to all 3 of you guys. Excellent projects. Congratulations to you guys.
So first out of that class was Carson Shaw, and then I believe second and third both went to Skylar McConnell. I think Skylar was getting some help showing there. Let's hear.
Weight lambs was Carson Shaw, Lily Grigowski, Skylar McConnell, and Skylar McConnell. Receiving blues was Lucy Martin, and Wade Burkhorst.
Okay, so Lily Grigowski was second in the class. So here comes the 4th class of market lambs. These are medium weight, 133 to 139 pounds. Sage Smith, Skylar McConnell, Lily Grigowski, and Allie Smith with 2 entries coming in on your screen now. Again, please notice the sponsors on the top right-hand part of your screen. They are the ones making it possible for us to be here at the Custer County Fair for this coverage, as well as the interviews you'll hear alongside Pure Country Music on KCNI Pure Country. 1280 AM and 96.3 FM is where you can listen to those all throughout the fair. During the Get Up and Go breakfast show is a really good time to tune in. Dave is live and does a lot of those interviews from right here in the show ring. Beef is tomorrow, so plenty of interviews coming your direction tomorrow as a part of the Beef Show.
into this class, and I think two of them that pair up pretty similarly for me. And the top two both have probably a couple skeletal things I'd like to rearrange in terms of their spine and their hip and hind leg, which they were just a little bit more relaxed in that regard. But our class winner, I think, just probably wins because of true muscle power and shape. Very fresh in terms of his handle, a lot of really good round upper and lower rib shape. It's still pretty square there in his loin edges. Again, like I said, probably structurally like to rearrange that one just a little bit, easing down in his spine, but appreciate that one for being really genuine in his outward body shape. Young ladies, whether that's going to come second, again, one that I think from a muscle perspective is really fresh, really creased up, probably just not quite as robust in terms of his rib shape. Wish he was just a little bit bolder, had a little bit more outward turn to his hip and lower leg, but one that I do appreciate from the side. Young lady does a nice job getting him propped up, probably just gets a little bit outmassed by the one ahead. Young man's whether that's going to go ahead and come third is one that there's a lot of things that I like about that sheep. Skeletally, really long and level spine, pretty tall fronted kind of weather. For me, though, that one's probably just pushing a little bit more maturity than I'd like to see. Gets a little bit softer on the handle. Wish that one had just a little bit more fresh, upstanding rack shape to meet my hand when I go into handle. But again, a nice one from the side. Young man's doing an outstanding job getting that one exhibited as well. The young lady with the speckle-faced sheep that's going to go ahead and be fourth is one that's got a lot of length and extension, really neat-sided kind of sheep, profiles nicely. Off either end, though, probably gets outpowered by the ones ahead. Wish that one had just a little bit more mass up top, hit the surface a notch stouter and wider, but a really nice one from this side. And the young lady that's going to round out this particular class has got a wether that is plenty bold-bodied. There's a lot of sheep there, probably just pushing a little bit more maturity than we'd like to see at this particular stage in the game, but that's a stout one, that's a strong one, and she did an excellent job handling him throughout the duration of the class. So good job to you guys.
Receiving purples in our class for medium weight market lambs was Skylar McConnell, Allie Smith, and Allie Smith. Receiving blues was Sage Smith and Lily Grigowski. Now entering the ring is our first and second out of both medium weight market lamb classes.
Certainly a high-quality set of middleweights out here to pick the overall middleweight champion. I think that there's a set of them that all do the basics well in terms of covering the basics of having enough muscle and being plenty lean design in the way that they have less or enough finish, but not to too much of a degree and being too mature in that regard. And so, again, we're looking for heavy muscled sheep that are hard handling, have a lot of expression, and once we cover that basics, then I can go ahead and sort towards structure and some extra feature and profile, proportion, especially in the show sheep deal. And I think there's probably a pair of them out here that I think match up pretty well, very similar in their type and kind. One of them probably has a notch more than the other, but I think skeletally they are going to be the best ones out here. So the 2 out of your heavier class will be your Grand Reserve.
Okay, so that would be Skylar McConnell and Allie Smith, respectively, as your first and second place in medium weight. We'll now go to heavyweight market lambs. They'll be coming in here shortly. Wade Burkhorst, Lily Grigowski, Wade Burkhorst again, and Weston Delaney, all with entries here. We'll immediately determine first and second place there, and then we'll bring all of the market lambs in that were tops out of their groups, and determine a overall grand and overall reserve champion.
Next, we have our Class 5 heavyweight market lambs weighing 144 to 160 pounds.
Again, thank you to all of the sponsors you continue to see scrolling on the top right-hand part of your screen. They are the ones making it possible for us to be here at the Custer County Fair, in particular on the video streaming side of things. Some of them are joining us on radio coverage as well on KCNI Pure Country. Those interviews going to be playing all throughout Fair. We've got nearly 70 of those with 4-H and FFA kids and some of the advisors and organizers out here at the Custer County Fairgrounds as well. On the left-hand side up there, you will see scrolling the purple ribbon sponsors. They include Trotter Service and Trotter Fertilizer, the Custer County Ag Society, Justin Thompson Agency with American Family Insurance, Nebraska State Bank, Healing Hearts and Families, Sargent Irrigation, Central Nebraska Diesel, Custer Public Power District, Lashley Land and Recreational Brokers, Pioneer Seed, Full Circle Irrigation, Lines Appliance, Big Jim's Bar of Oconto, Farm Bureau Financial Services, and Agribest Feeds of Callaway. Thank you to each and every one of our purple ribbon sponsors. You'll also see up there Viera Wireless being represented as they are providing the internet connection for us to bring you this video live stream all 4 days of the fair, the 3 days here in the show arena, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Thursday we also video stream and broadcast live on KCNI Pure Country the champions at the auction, the livestock auction, to round out the fair, as has been tradition here at KCNI and at the fair for years and years and years. Viera Wireless providing that connection. Just want to give you a little idea here. We were live for 5 hours this morning. We've now been live for 3 hours this afternoon. We're sending 30 frames per second for those entire 8 hours. That means every single second that goes by, 30 pictures are being sent through the internet to deliver this live stream to you. 0 dropped frames over 8 hours at 30 frames sent every second. Thank you, Viera Wireless, for providing an awesome connection for us to bring the Custer County Fair to your living room, to your phone, to your tablet, or wherever you're watching or listening from. Again, these are the heavyweight market lambs. This is just our single group of heavyweight market lambs. First and second place will be determined here. Somebody with a Ford Expedition, I'm not sure if you can hear that, but someone with a maroon Ford Expedition has their alarm going off at the moment. Doesn't look like anyone's breaking into the car, so probably just someone sitting on their keys.
Heavyweight class here for the Market Lamb Show. It's tough if you've ever fed a sheep to keep them heavy enough, but also trim enough. And so I think there's a couple of them out here that maybe are starting to push that line, but I do think that there's still a certain level of freshness in all of these sheep. That's certainly commendable. These are all very pounds heavy sheep, certainly would be profitable on the rail in that regard. But the young man with the speckle-faced wether is going to go ahead and win this class, and I think just because he is probably the freshest and then the squarest in terms of his rack shape and his loin edge, and past that, when he's able to prop him up from the side, I love his levelness of lines and his neck set, the way he's pretty level topped and travels the ring really nicely. So good one for the young man to go ahead and start. Young lady with the blue sheep is going to come next. I think that's one that's really bold and round ribbed. Just probably starts to give up a little bit there on the handle, gets a little bit more washed out in terms of his rack shape and in his loin edges. Wish we could maybe pick him up a little bit in his chest floor and rearrange his hip and hind leg ever so slightly to compare with our class winner. But again, another bold bodied, practical kind of sheep. Young man's is going to go ahead and come next, I think, is, again, one that's really opened up, bold-bodied, powerfully constructed kind of lamb, just probably getting a little bit mature on us, so maybe pushing a little bit more finish than we'd like to see, but plenty stout in terms of his foot and bone, and really plenty practical in the way that he circles the ring. Young ladies is going to go ahead and round out the class, I think, is one similar to the one in third, bold-bodied, round-ribbed kind of sheep. Just gets a little bit flatter and plainer in terms of his shape. Maybe we'd like to pull that one apart at the surface and set him down a little bit square to get up higher in the class. But really good job to those four. Congratulations to all of you.
So first in heavyweight market lambs, shown by Delaney Weston, and then it is, Weston Delaney. They keep switching the first and last name columns on me. Lily Gagoski second in that group. Now we will bring in the light, medium, and heavyweight market lambs to compete against each other to determine an overall and overall reserve.
a big hand. It's very evident and clear how much time and dedication has gone into these projects. And I'm sure for some of you guys that's not going to stop as you continue on to state fairs and maybe some national shows down the road. And so really big congratulations to you guys who got sheep back out here in the Grand Drive. It was a very high quality show and a lot of fun to sort through. And so I guess just to kind of reiterate where my head was at today in the market show again, looking for muscle. Once they cover the basics of having muscle and having or being trim enough, being acceptable in that regard, then I get to sort towards skeletal quality, some extra feature and bone and proportion, and there's a lot of representation of that out here in this Grand Drive. So there's probably a pair of them that I like the best, and I think combine a great deal of muscle onto a really appropriate skeleton, very athletic in the way that they circle the ring. Really appreciate both of them for just being high quality animals. Before I select a Grand and Reserve, just want to say a couple things to you guys. It can be really easy to get in the thick of what you're passionate about, and for most of you in this ring, I would assume that's showing sheep, and kind of lose sight of how far you've come. And maybe for some of you, this is your first year showing sheep. For some of you, this is your last year showing sheep. But I just hope you guys can all take some time to reflect this week, especially at fair, regardless of the results of today or maybe anything else you're participating on, and just be grateful. Be grateful for where you started to where you are now, and never lose sight of the fact that you learned something through this project, and you hopefully will continue to learn something. So be very proud of yourselves. And tell your family thank you, guys. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my parents came out here to came out here this week to watch me judge today. And just want you guys to be aware that your support systems today will be your support system when you're 25 years old judging in Broken Bow, Nebraska. Okay? Absolutely. So be grateful for those people, whether they're your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, mentors. They will be there for life. Tell them thank you. And if you are one of those people, know that you are darn appreciated, even if it doesn't seem like it some days. So very outstanding kids, guys. You should be very proud. I've been in this county a couple years back, and it was awesome to be back here today. Really fun time. So thank you for having me. Congratulations to you guys. I'll select your top two. Yeah, thank you, guys.
All right, your overall grand champion market lamb went to Allie Smith, and your overall reserve champion market lamb also went to Allie Smith. Our last class that we have for today is our club group of 5 market lambs, and I believe this is a single entry class with a group from Baroque. And I do want to say thank you to Art and Diane Anderson for sponsoring the Champion Market Lamb banner, and BD Life Sciences for sponsoring the Reserve Market Lamb banner. Yes. Also, don't forget, we do need some help picking up all of the panels. So all sheep showmen, their families, and anyone else in earshot that would like to come and help, please, please come and help.
All right, as you see there is a group of Burr Oak club group of 5 market lamps. No competition out there for them. I would imagine they are going to receive a purple ribbon. So they'll get some feedback from the judge. We've seen all of those lambs out here before, so great stuff here. Let's go ahead and here in a second we'll do a little recap. Let me gather some information here. All right. Thanks for tuning in to the 4-H Sheep Show, folks. We had the FFA Sheep Show just before this. We'll go back that far and recap the FFA and then the 4-H Sheep Show results for you. So let's take a look at those. We'll start with FFA Sheep Showmanship. Allie Smith was the champion. Carson Shaw was the reserve champion. We then went to Market Lambs for FFA. Champion Market Lamb, Allie Smith. Reserve champion Market Lamb, Hallie Meyer. We then did breeding sheep for FFA. Allie Smith had the champion breeding sheep. Carson Shaw had the reserve champion breeding sheep. Then we switched gears and went to the 4-H Sheep Show. We started with showmanship, much like we did in FFA. And senior sheep showmanship champion went to Allie Smith. Reserve champion to Taylor Shaw. Junior sheep showmanship, Tel McConnell was the champion. Reserve champion Carson Shaw. And then pre-junior sheep showmanship, Clancy Martin was the champion. Sage Smith was the reserve champion. We then had a overall sheep showmanship competition. Allie Smith out of the senior sheep division was the champion. Reserve champion for overall sheep showmanship was Tel McConnell out of junior sheep showmanship. We then changed over to the Ram Lamb side of things. Wade Burkhorst was the champion. Reserve champion shown by Hallie Meyer. In ewe lambs, Allie Smith with the champion ewe lamb. Tel McConnell had the reserve champion ewe lamb. We then go over to market lambs. First place medium weight market, I'll skip right down to grand champion market lamb and reserve champion market lamb. Allie Smith had the grand champion and reserve champion of both of those. And that brings us to the end of the sheep side of things here at the 2026 Custer County Fair. If you're looking for the results on the swine side of things, I posted that video earlier on today. Tomorrow is beef day, so we encourage you to join us for that all throughout the day on the Sandhills Express YouTube and Facebook pages. Again, thanks folks for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we look forward to talking to you then.